Hey guys, it's Josh here at the Quick Speed Shop. We're doing black Dodge short box rust repair. Part 1, we're doing floor. Look at that, I got a new floor pan in there. It came out pretty awesome. You're gonna see how I did it. It was a mess when we started. And a little cutting and grinding and welding, she's back to 98.725%, back to original status. So let's start fabricating and start some rust repair. And it's bad. Oh my goodness gracious, look at this! Yikes! Well, we're gonna get right into it. As you can see, there's no inner rockers. The cab mount is completely rotted through in the front. I have front floor pans right here that came with the truck from JEGS. So they go up to here. We're gonna have to fabricate all this. We're gonna have to make inner rockers. First thing we're gonna do, because it's where you start, is we're gonna fix the cab mounts. Now, I don't have Dodge cab mounts here, but I got some extra C10 cab mounts from my C10 project days, and I think we can adapt one to work. And right now, the cab is low in the front because the doors open hard, and I know that it's flexing. I pick it up a little bit, and the door opens easier. So this mount is completely rotted around, and the cab is sagging down until it's touching the frame rail. So first thing I want to do is get the floor jack. And I'm going to jack it up under the front here, under the fender area, and pick the cab up just a little bit to hold it up. You know, it's probably down like a 1/4 inch. We'll see if the door works better. And then, like I said, I got these C10 mounts here, and I'm actually using them backwards. This would be the right-hand mount that would mount in the truck like this. I'm actually going to use it backwards on the Dodge, and we're going to have to change some of the angles of it. But I think overall, it's going to work out good because it's pretty much the right length to fit. I think if we do something like that, we're gonna have to cut and change the angle in the back, but I think it'll fit down under here. It should be about the right height overall to work. And if it is what it is, it's close enough for government work, we're gonna make it work. So I think I want to jack the cab up. I'm going to cut the bolt loose. I do have new bushings. I put new bushing or body mounts in the back of the cab, and it came with ones for the front. So we got these guys. Unfortunately, I had to steal some of the sleeves out of them, but we got these guys that'll go like this, like that-ish, boom, and hold the mounts up. So good to go there. A 1/2 inch bolt will go through those. So we got mount action. This guy is, I guess there's a hole in the floor originally to get to the bolt with a plug or something like that, I'm going to guess. I got to get the headlight switch out of the way because we're going to replace the floor all the way up to here. The floor pan goes up to about here, and you can see it's bad up to there, so we'll get rid of all that. We're going to have to redo this mount-ish is attached there. I'm going to have to scab on something here, make a new piece for that. It's probably good back here under where the seat would mount. But as you can see back here, everything is bad. But first step is get that out of the way, and then we're going to make a new inner rocker because this ties to the inner rocker out of flat sheet metal, plug welded into the rocker. And we're not doing, this isn't the concourse restoration. This is put floor pans in your off-the-road junk plow truck that you bought for $600 job. So we're going to do it down and dirty as fast as we can. It's going to be better than zip screwing in license plates, but it's not going to be perfect. But I want to seal the thing up, get it back on a solid footing. Like we said, this truck has been doing all kinds of fun stuff with it. Rebuilt the whole back half of the truck. If you go back, if you're familiar with the series, I got a whole build series on it. Black 1980 Dodge W150. And maybe I'll put box sides on it because they're pretty cheap later on. But anyways, we got to fix the cab before we do anything else. Okay, I put the jack under the cab and jacked it up like a, I don't know, 1/2 inch or so. Let's see. Oh yeah, she's stiff now. Let's see if the door closes any better. Oh. Well. It does. Okay, how bad is this? It's pretty bad. That is about ready to go. This guy is all shot. I'm going to lop this guy off back out of the way because it's in the way. Lopper. Lopper. Okay, that guy, oh yeah, nice. This is, it's about ready to fall right out of there. Actually, I don't want the camera in here with all the sparks flying around and ruining my camera. So I'm gonna take the grinder, the cutoff wheel, I'm gonna cut some of this loose metal out of the way real fast, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I did a little quick hackery and hacked the most of the floor out, and I took the fender bolt out of the mount. I think the cab mount's gonna come right out of here by hand. It is. Oh my goodness gracious. Well, there we go. Where can I put this? Put it over here. That's something else right there. Oh yeah, nice. Ooh, I got a little shim washer. Somebody was shimming. I bet it's going to be all right. Okay, so the front of the rocker mount is still there. We got that. Where's I'm using my delicate hands. There's still a little bit of meat in there. I don't want to get too carried away cutting things out. Next chore is going to be getting this body mount. I'm going to have to cut the bolt off of the grinder. So I got to reattach on this front brace once we get the cab mount in. Bend up a little Z bracket for that. We'll attach on here, right here. Attach that back up after we get the cab mount in. But I don't know. I can see we got room to the floor of the frame, so I've jacked the cab up a little bit. We're just going to have to kind of go with what it is to make it what it is, because I don't really have any way to guesstimate where this is supposed to be. Jacking it up's got to be better than just letting it sag. So I'll get the bolt out there. We'll take that new one and try to cut it and make it fit. I'm probably going to have to start right about here with new metal. And I thought the inner rocker was just flat sheet metal, but I see it's got a step in it now. I wasn't prepared for that. But you know what we're going to do? We're going to ignore that, and we're going to cut this back. And we're just going to put a piece of flat sheet metal across this because we don't care what it looks like. We're just trying to get it back together for monkeying around. So we'll just weld flat sheet metal at an angle. We'll cut the cab mount to fit that. And then we'll go from there, because I don't want to have to try to replicate this when there's no reason to replicate that. Come over and watch. Snapped her off here. Let's get in there. Ow, everything is sharp. Careful. All right. Aha. Woo. That's a nasty biscuit there. Ain't that? Ooh, look at that. Bolt is rusted right down to nothing in the middle. This thing is way rotten. So that's not too bad. Where's our bammer? There we go. Knock a little scale off it. It's still got factory black paint on it right there. Look at that. Man. We're not ready for the bushing yet. I'll probably get, I got some rust encapsulator. Let's spray some rust encapsulator on that mount, just so we have a little bit of protection. Where's my encapsulator? Right here. Uh-oh, I'm almost out of rust encapsulator. Might have to make a little order to Summit, or not Summit, to Eastwood to get some more encapsulator. We're just going to encapsulate her. So we got some, not this is going to do anything, but we might as well throw a little bit on there while we're doing it. Because why do it the wrong way if we're going to do it the right way? Just throw a little bit on there. Now, let me cut out a piece for here. We'll get this guy attached in. I gotta get my weld through primer. I gotta clean all that up first. There's a lot of sharp edges, very dangerous. I gotta zing this off. Probably do that with the Sawzall. I'll let this flash off for a second so it doesn't get full of metal dust. Not that it really matters. Around the spot we're fixing down a little bit, and I put some weld through primer on it. And we used the cardboard aided design here to make a patch. And it's gonna go something like that-ish. I have some 16 gauge, so I'm gonna make it pretty beefy. Probably do a lot of these repairs out of 16 just because I have a bunch of it and it'll make it strong. Like I said, this is not gonna be perfect. We're just making our plow truck a little bit better than it was, but we can box all this into 16 gauge. And over here, I just happen to have a piece of 16 gauge. I bought these blanks a long time ago, and I've been using them slowly here and there. I've already laid it out on the panel. We're gonna take it over to the bevel shear and cut this piece out and fit it up in. I'll drill some holes for some plug welds in it, along here, maybe along here, or whatever. And then I'll throw a little bit of primer on the inside of it. Ooh, it's heavy. Come over to the scene of the injury. To use the bevel shear, here's the vise handle down here. We'll stay clear of that. No more injuries. And this is a really good B2 bevel shear, so it cuts 16 gauge, no problem. It's one of the best tools in the shop right here. It's perfect for doing all kinds of cutting things. Signed by Gene Winfield in 2015. They did a metal shaping class at my buddy's shop, and they needed a shear, and he didn't have one, so he borrowed mine, and old Gene signed it. Man, I can't make that in one shot. Let's sneak up on it. Close enough for government work. Bam. All right, so got our piece. I left it a little, I'll hit that with the flap wheel. Oops, I gotta cut this piece out. Now careful, everything's sharp. It's all sharp. Boom. There we go. Now the shear tears up the metal or deforms a little bit. So I use this anvil. And I straighten out where I did the cutting. Now it's a little jagged, but we're going to be welding along that seam, so it probably doesn't matter. Let's try it out in the truck. All right, so let's see how we did. It's going to fit. Oh, it's a little shy here, dang it. That's all right. We're not building a show truck. If it was a show truck, we'd have to start over because I made it too shy, but that's okay. Now I need to look. Oh yeah, okay. So we're gonna do some plug welding here, and then here, 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 and here. Plug weld that guy. The other welds, I'm just gonna bash it into place and seam weld it along there. But this guy, we're going to form it as we go, so I'll probably get a couple of plugs in the bottom to hold it, and then I'm going to hammer it into place. It needs to lean over a little bit and kind of form as we go. Actually this edge is, I need to do a little hammer and dolly work, but we're going to end up, like I said, putting it in here at an angle, making the inner rockers in an angle instead of a double step, just because it's faster, and it'll be too hard for me to make a double step without doing a whole bunch of work. And I don't really care because we're doing this as a down and dirty repair. Like I said, this is not the best way, it's a way. Let's bam that guy over straight. How are we looking here? Oh boy. Is what it is. Yeah, we're just gonna make it work. Do what we gotta do to make it work. Not gonna be perfect. And there was some rust here in this dog leg. I'm just gonna weld in a patch, and once we put this on here, just weld, whoop, put a little guy in there. Fix that right up, but I think we'll, let me drill some 3/16 or whatever holes in the thing for some plug weld action. We got a little bit of rust falling out there, that's okay. Let me drill some holes for some plug welds. Then I'll grind a bare spot somewhere and grab the door jamb bolt or something, and we'll weld this guy on. Oh, actually, I need to put some primer in the back of it too, so make sure we got primer on the back side. I'm going to fluid film the inside of the rockers. I'll drill some holes and spray some fluid film in here. Like I said, I'm not trying to make it perfect. I'm just trying to make it last a little bit longer. I sprayed the fluid film on the frame when I did the flame repair in the back and stuff. It gives it a little chance to last a little bit longer, but like I said before, this roof is full of rust up in the upper panel. These trucks are bare metal and they put them together. They get moisture in there and mouse nests, and especially when you got something like that sunroof gets in there and just eats them alive. But we're doing what we can do to put it together down and dirty for YouTube and for fun. And me scabbing this thing together, it'll last the life of the truck that I'm going to have it. I'll be an old man before this thing breaks in half again, so I'm not worried about it. All right, got our patch clamped into place. I sprayed the weld-through primer on the inside, which is barely dry, but guess what? We got no time for primer to dry. We got to weld. So now I'm going to kind of form it and beat it into place. So let's plug it here. There's one. There's two. Nice. Can't see nothing. We're just going to kind of like hammer and form it as we go. And do the best we can with what we got to work with. Now I need some kind of way to clamp that together. Okay, got the patch all welded in here and ground down. I'm just going to seam seal over all the weld. It's good enough. I made a real ugly patch here. There's some blow throughs, but I'm just going to seam seal this and paint this black. Good enough, just patching it up to hold it together. I got the top of the bushing for the body mount on here. I'm just trying to think how this is going to go. And I thought I was going to use these, but I got to do a whole lot of cutting and fitting to make it work. And the back side is okay once I straighten this side out, but the front edge gets taller. They're kind of a weird shape for the Dodge ones, and I could cut these all up and weld them back together 6 times from Sunday, but I think there's still going to be some gaps and stuff, and it doesn't sit exactly right up here. It's more curved, so I think I'm gonna save these and not cut them up. Here's the one that came out of the truck. You can see how staggered the back of it is there. You're looking at it, you know, towards the transmission tunnel. This is the transmission tunnel side. You see how it's got that much of a shape to it on the top there. So what I think I'm gonna try to do versus this one that's completely flat, you see how much higher this is? So what I think I might do is get some channel, like 2x4 channel or something that I can drill and set on here, like 1/8 inch channel, and come across and weld it into here, and then just use some other pieces of channel to build it up to the floor. We'll set the floor in, trying to make it up, just tack it all together, make my own mount to weld into here and sit on here. Once it's tied into here, it'll be fine. All right, guys, it's the next day here. I had to go to the eye doctor and get my eyes checked, and if you can see, they gave me the eye pupil thingamajigs, and I can't see nothing really clearly, so I had to put on my reading glasses so I don't look like an old man. Hello, let's go work on things. And I'll tell you what, reading glasses make you into Superman when you're trying to do things up close. Get yourself some reading glasses. They work as magnifying glasses. But I kind of need them to see now because I'm old. Last time you saw me weld this piece in, I've started making my own cab mounts, and I'll show you how it works. But essentially, I got this 1x3 eighth wall rectangular channel, and I'm welding it to here, and then it's going to be boxed up to be under the floor and tie all this back together. But this is the first piece, and I got a sleeve welded through it that the bolt goes down through. This guy's already bolted in, even though I'm still on the jack. We'll wait till I get the rest of the support put in the floor. But I'll show you up here. I made the one for the passenger side already. What I did is sleeved it with a piece of square tubing. I drilled a round hole, but I didn't have any round tubing small enough to make a sleeve that wasn't gigantic for the bolt. So I sleeved it with square tubing. On the bottom, it's ground flush, so it sits flush on the mount, and then the bolt, you know, it's a 1/2 inch bolt, so it's got room to crash around in here for adjustment. So I get it into place. This guy's already bolted down to the new bushings, new grade 8 bolt, and ready to go, and you can see that I welded it to here. Now I can't just leave it tied into the sheet metal. It's going to get a gusset down below here once I get the jack out from it, and then there's going to be side pieces that weld on and flange out that the floor is actually, you know, way up here, just like it was a big box like that. So I'm going to have to set the floor in here and then make pieces up to the floor and tack them to this, and then set the floor back down on it. And like I said, we're just doing this down and dirty. I've cut the rest of the floor, trimmed it where I want it all the way around. What I'm going to do now is make up another piece to box all this in back behind this section here so we can start laying the floor pan out. We'll put the pan in. I got to do a little trimming on the pan up here. We'll mark it off and just grind it, grind all the paint off, throw some weld-through primer on it. Get it kind of zip screwed into place. So I'll make these pieces up to there, get them tacked on. Probably pull the pan back out, weld all this up, blow some primer and paint or whatever into this, and then bam, set the floor in, and then start tacking the floor down. I got tired of walking over 16 places, so I took my stroke-causing vise over here, which is actually, my buddy told me, some kind of fancy vise. I forget where the name is. Right there. FP, I don't know, some like Polish vise or something. I don't know. Apparently it's valuable. I got it cheap somewhere, but I bolted this guy down to the welding table, and I bolted my Beverly shear down. So now I got like a whole fabrication table setup work out here. I can weld on it. I can hold stuff to cut it. I can do my sheet metal cutting all in one station instead of being like over there, then over there, then over here. I'm all in one station now. So that's pretty neat. I made another piece of the rocker here, got this all welded up and plug welded up and ground down. 16 gauge. I'm doing a little bit of bend at the top and bottom to get to lay parallel on the rocker. I don't know if you can see from the edge or not, probably not, but it's got it all tied in and ground down. And I took a little bit of rust off the top of the frame a little bit, threw some rust encapsulator on it just because. It's not really going to do anything, but it is what it is, and it smells like rust encapsulator right now. But you can see here around the floor, I've cleaned up the edge. I took all the paint off around where I'm going to have the floor pan overlay. And I still need to get under here, run the grinder under the edge and clean up the edges of it. But for right now, we're just going to set the pan in here, try to get an idea of what needs to happen and make it fit, and then trim it. It's right here. So this side is going to plug weld into the rocker panels and stuff here on this edge. The underside is going to weld to the braces, or I'm going to make the braces fit that, and then this is going to overlap. I'm going to have to trim some of that. This is for like a bolt-on style hump there. That detail line there is for a bolt-on style hump, which I don't have. It just kind of humps on its own. That's what she said. So I might have to trim some of that off too to get the fit in there, but we'll sneak up on it. Like I said earlier, we're just going to overlap it probably 1 inch and zip screw it, and then to screw it down tight, I'll put some weld through primer all the way around on it. We'll zip screw it down, then we'll just skip lap, weld it around, and then just seam seal it for this. For most floor repairs, that's fine, like a 1/2 inch to 1 inch overlap. Plug welded or welded and seam seal it. I mean, the floors are overlapped and spot welded from the factory, so you're not doing it any worse than the factory did when they put things together. But, you know, a high-end restoration where you're trying to make it perfect, you would butt weld it and make body work it and everything. This is obviously not a high-end restoration by any stretch of imagination. We're just trying to make it a little bit better than this. A big hole! So let's start putting this pan in here. These are the biggest freaking floor pans I've ever seen in my life! Now, can we just... The problem is... Yeah, the problem is that is way up because I said the hump bolts on here. I've got to take a little off that right away or else it's never going to fit in here. Let me measure. Ouch. Ouch. Let me measure. Where's my tape measure? Gone. It's gone. If I ever make it in the big times and move to Tennessee or something and build a new big awesome homestead, I'm going to have a shop that's wider than 16 feet wide because it's tight like a tiger to try to get in here. All right, what do we got? So about 25 inches there and 26 inches there. What do we got on the floor pan? We've got, oh yeah, we got 28 and 29. Okay, so let me, did I say 25? Oh yeah, I can see it. It's about where that detail line is. So let me take a little off the side of this floor pan. Okay, I nipped her in the bud just a little bit. Oh, that's a lot better. What's this? Some kind of cable. That is 1,000 times better. Ooh, I got kind of a little tight right there like a tire. I almost got too shallow there. That would have been bad. I got to take a little out of here. Where's my overlap? I wonder if I can and do that a little bit. I'm going to have to get underneath it. Man, that looks a ton better. How will we... Man, this floor pan don't fit for shiz. This is all different over here. What are they doing here? Well, that ain't good. I don't know. That's kind of got to go like that. And that'll just kind of get formed. We'll cut it a little bit longer. Eraser, there we go. And then we're going to cut, because this has got to be flat. Cut it like that. And how are we going to make this? We're just going to cut this right off. Okay, gonna get rid of that there. I don't know why that's so different, but it's gonna go mostly in here. The hole, this is for a plug for the body mount, is also not where the body mount is, so I don't know what these, this is 72 to 93, but they changed the floor in these cabs. I found that out when I was doing my brown Dodge. I used the 88 cab and I actually put the bolt and hump in out of the 75, and they did change a bunch of things around in these trucks and the stampings over the years, and including the firewall was different between 80 and 88. So you kind of get what you get when you do this stuff. This is, I mean, these are super cheap floor pans apparently, because this is nowhere near where this needs to be. This needs to suck down in, and then this needs to come up. This needs a pie cut. This needs to be pie cut somewhere. This is supposed to lay down. It's all kinds of wrong. We're gonna have to like beat her into submission, I guess, because it's not laying down at all like it's supposed to lay down. Yikes. Well, we'll make it fit one way or the other. Like I said, like, this is not a restoration job by any stretch of the imagination. And we'll just make it to what makes sense. We'll do what makes sense and go from there. Let me get underneath here, because this is way up over where it needs to be. I'm gonna trim it. It's gonna trim like this. I gotta trim a bunch of that off, so maybe I can get underneath it and I can kind of see what's going on underneath. Yeah, I'm trimming it here, then it comes down here and across here, then trimming a bunch of this off here. But other than that, it looks pretty cherry. All right, I think we're really close to making it happen. Yes. I'm trying to get it to line up with these stampings, but I need to hammer that over a little bit more, I guess. It needs to go this way just a touch to line them up, and then that will line up. Gotta beat her into submission here. Roll that edge in, and then we'll beat her back into place when we go to attach it. That allowed me to, there we go, get over there tight. Uh-oh, that took me right to grade 0. Oh, but line those up. Ooh boy, now we got almost a butt weld here. Great. Yeah, that looks good. Let's go ahead and get one of my fancy edge clamps on here. That's about where that needs to be. Boy. Ooh, that turned into almost a butt weld because I took a little too much off because this side was holding me up, but that's okay. We are close enough for making it happen. That guy is gonna go there. I don't even think I need any zip screws. I can push it where I gotta be and tack it, tack it, tack it, tack it, push it down on the hammer, tack it, push it there with the hammer, tack it. Then I'm gonna beat this edge in. I'm gonna drill some holes so we can plug weld this up. I'll drill some holes so we can plug weld this. I pie cut this so I can mush this down a little bit. Actually, let me mush it now because I forgot we need it in place for the making the braces. Go down a little bit more. Got him. Yeah, that's gonna go there. I need one or two zip screws. Where's my zip screw gun? Get the zip screws. It's a little foggy in here, all the cut and grinding. Get the zip screws. Here we go. Hoop. Aha, there we go. A little zip screw action never hurt anybody. Perfect. Like that. Ah. Well, it must be extremely dull. It's fine. Missed the panel, but that'll hold it there. Now that doesn't look bad. And that'll push down there. Yeah, that's good. We've made it happen. Now that's not too bad at all. The lines line up close enough for government work. We got a little bit of overlap here. This is almost butting up here. That's fine. I'll have to beat it in submission here, back behind you guys. Here, there, you see that gap? I'll have to beat it in submission down there, but it'll be fine. Like I said, we're not winning any awards with fitments, but it's going to work. I'll plug weld down through the top. There's a lip under here. I'll plug weld through there. We'll weld down here where the dimmer switch goes. Seam weld across there. This is actually not too bad once I beat it into submission. This guy will come down fine. We'll just work it around. Work our way around back to here. I'll have to hammer this edge down, but that's fine. That fits pretty good, all intents and purposes. Is this bent up? Oh yeah, that's where that bracket was under there. Okay, so what does it look like underneath? Let's go underneath. Oh boy, yeah, oh yeah, look at that. Well, that looks good. Oops. So that looks good. So here, I'll just bend up some 16 gauge that comes up with a 90. They'll sit right on here. We can plug weld right through that. I'll weld it on here, but like I said, I'll just leave it open where the bolt is. You see the bolt head there? I'll just leave it open. I could just leave it open on the front side actually and just box this in just enough to get a wrench. Oh wait, the bolt wouldn't come out if I do that. I do have to have a hole. Son of a bee sting. Because you'd never be able to get the bolt. Well, actually, you don't need to take the bolt out. You just take the nut off, and you could leave the bolt right through the body mount. Worst comes to worst, you can drill a hole in the floor later. You know what? Never mind. I'll just leave it where I can get a wrench on it, and we'll call it good enough. Bottom line, the cab will probably never ever come off this truck before it gets junked in the future sometime, so I'll just make it accessible if we ever have to unbolt it. That's all we got to do. Or you drill a hole in the floor to get to the bolt, one of the two. But we'll come around here. On this side, we'll make, so it's got to be taller on this side to make the mount. I'm going to put a gusset here, under here, to triangulate this and pick up this fender bracket once we get that going. But man, this looks mint. How's the joints look here? Oh yeah, we'll just hammer form this all around and beat this into submission, beat that up here, beat this all over good, seam weld it and stuff, and then we'll just seam seal the crap out of it. On the edge, it'll be perfectly fine. And then over here, we'll just have to replicate this brace. Runs right across the bottom of the floor here. I'll just bend up a Z-channel out of 16 gauge and go clink after I make that part, tie that brace back in, put it back up in the front, and then we just got to go here, box in the rest of the rocker up above this piece, box it in up to there, bend up some sheet metal, replicate this down somehow, just kind of, filled in the best I can. It doesn't have to be perfect, like I said. Like once again, we're just building junk out of junk, but we'll box all this back in here. We'll transition this flat sheet metal tie into here, and we'll have a brand new driver's side completed floor action on our Dodge. Next day here, I've been doing a little bit of fabbing off the clock, and I got the mount made. We're ready to put the floor pan in. I was going to make these floor mounts out of sheet metal, and I just gave up because I had some angle iron, and this is scabbed together angle iron, but guess what? We're making a plow truck. It doesn't matter. So I scabbed in a piece of angle iron here to tie the front one in. This is a sheet metal brace that gets welded to the floor. This is angle iron welded to the mount that gets welded to the floor. Plug welds. So it's all primed up with weld-through primer and ready to stick the floor pan in. I've drilled all my plug welds out and ground them off where I want to weld. So we're ready. I think we're ready to pull the trigger. Literally on the welder and weld this floor pan in here because I don't see why we can't. Seems like it's going to work out fantastic. First thing we'll do is we'll re-establish our zip screw holes wherever they went. Right there. Got my zip screw installer device right here. Boom. This one, actually drill, that kind of missed. Oop. Oh, we got the brace under. That's what it's doing, is hitting the brace. Okay, I've got to put a couple of zip screws in this sheet metal here to suck this down. Kind of. Boom. Got that guy down there. Gotta pull this edge up just a little bit. Clamp this guy. Boom. I love it. It's coming out fantastic. Okay. This is just going to get kind of hammer welded. We're close. I'm going to have to beat it down a little bit to get where I want to be. This looks good. Boom. My body hammer at. Hammer that guy. I think I want to, we're going to start where it's touching, probably put a couple plug welds here. I gotta push down as I go. These plug welds on this brace are pretty good, and then that got to get sucked down a little bit. This needs to get tapped in just a little bit here. Oops. Yep. Oh wait, you know what? I got a big long clamp. I forgot. Let's get the big long dong out here. Here we go. Get us some clamposis on the situation. Oh, there we go. Boom. All right. And I got a couple more big long clamps. When you need to reach all the way in, this is when you need these long, the long ones. The 24 R's or whatever they are. Reach right in there. Come on, man, you can reach, you can do it. You can do it. Oh boy, that's tight, like a tiger. Go. Now I'm just clamping and beating this thing really fast. Something a little bit nicer would take a little bit more care, but for what we're doing here, it's fine. Well, that guy's sucked down in there pretty good. I'm going to attach my mount places, get this part located, then we're just going to work the floor down, probably tack it here a couple times, get this going, then I'm going to work into the tunnel because I can massage and beat the tunnel. And this is a lot of monkeying around, so I'll probably put you guys on fast motion. that was a smoky disaster. But it came out pretty decent. I was going to weld it all the way around, and then I was like, you know what? Nope. So I went like every ½ inch or so. Then I'm just going to grind all the welds, and I've got brush on seam sealer. I'm just going to seam seal it around. I got to keep telling myself we're not doing nice work, we're just doing some work, and we're putting it back together. But it's, boom, it's in there, and it's welded all up. It came out pretty good. Good enough for government work. I'll probably drill a couple of drain holes in it because I know the windshield leak's probably in this thing where water's in a pool like here and probably in one of these things just to let these things drain out a little bit. But it's not bad. I was able to hammer form it pretty good. I had to tap it up from the bottom and got it all seamed together. It's not 100% perfect, like I said, because I don't care. But it's 100% better than what it was, and is super solid with all the mounts. Let's go underneath and look. Underneath here, you can see some wires sticking through where I burned through, but I'm just going to wire wheel all this up on the bottom, hit it with a grinder or whatever, clean it up real fast, and then seam seal the bottom and seam seal the top, and then just blow some fluid film all over it. But once it's seam sealed up top and bottom, it'll be all sealed up. It's way more than good enough for what we're doing. The mount came out good here. You can see my plug weld marks here where it's burned in, but that's, you know, this thing's nice and tight. The mount is all tied in, plug welded in here. I think I might put a little gusset here from the rocker to tie this in over here a little bit where the wooden block is, but it's all good. I'll run a little seam sealer along here maybe. Just keep some moisture out of it. And this is boxed in around here, but man, it's 1,000 times better than it was. We had no floor and no braces whatsoever left up, and this is just booger welded together back here. But guess what? It's all tied together now, and it's strong enough for what we're doing. A little bit of booger welding is better than nothing. I'm happy with my results for the little bit of time and beating, welding, grinding I got in here. It's pretty good. I'd say it's way more than good enough. So I'll probably just grind this down off camera real fast and throw a little bit of primer on it, then seam seal it up. I still got to do all this repair here, which I'm probably going to cut this off, get that out of the way, probably take this rubber plug out because there's rust around. Probably just cut, leave a little lip, and then I'll just bend up a piece. It'll sit right on top of here, weld it in here. I got to finish boxing out the rocker and then come around and I'll just, wherever I box this rocker, I'll box it all the way back in and I'll come up a little bit higher with the box. And then I'll just run this piece, I'll just saw this off in here somewhere, then just run it down and skip lap weld it into the rocker there, good enough. And there's a little bit of boxing that needs to go on the bottom side of it. I'll just bang that back together, just tie all this back in. But I think we're gonna hang it up probably for this video because I've got to kick it out. This turned in a little bit longer of a job than I thought it was gonna be, but we're doing good so far. So we'll call this black Dodge 1980 Dodge floor repair part 1, and we'll probably pop back up with a part 2. I've still got to do exactly the same thing on the other side, and it goes up the toe board a little bit more. Hopefully my patch goes up that high, or else I'm gonna have to scab some in because it goes up pretty far, but the body mount's all shot and stuff like that. But I'm super confident this is going to be way more than good enough for what I want to do. And look here. Both the seat belts, oh my God, ripped right out of the floor. They must have been like here-ish, I guess. Yeah, probably like there. So I'll have to do something with those. Not that I really need the seat belts in the thing, but whatever. I'll cobble that back together. But yeah, that ain't going nowhere. That's nice and solid. So I like that. And we'll just clean it up a little bit, but man, that makes a huge difference. Just booger welding some cheap-ass floor pans in your old rusted-out truck with some cobbled-together braces and angle iron and whatnots and homemade body mounts. That's what you got to do sometimes. You got to make it work with what you got. And we did that, and it looks awesome. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Probably still working on this old rusty Dodge, making it unrusty enough, at least from here forward. And then we're going to get into some mechanicals, brakes, carburetor, seats, make it run and drive and stop. I fixed the steering column. It didn't used to go into park because the body had moved so much. The shifter was out of adjustment. So I've taken the shifter rod off. I got it all cleaned up. That was a ball of rust. I've got the adjuster sliding on now so I can reset the shifter linkage and actually use the shifter like it's supposed to be. and be able to take the key out of the truck instead of leaving it stuck in the on position. So that's awesome, but you'll see that and more next time here at the Quick Speed Shop.